On mainstreaming. Do you intend to introduce climate impact assessments for relevant upcoming legislation? In the EU budget revision, do you intend to propose a climate proofing procedure? Would you consider initiating a health check of relevant existing legislation and policies, and some concrete examples on that? Should we look into the introduction of energy efficiency best practices in the EU procurement rules? Should we prioritize reconsidering EU forest strategy? We are going to lose millions of hectares in southern Europe in the next 2 to 3 decades. And one final word. State subsidies for hard coal are to be reconsidered during your mandate. Do you intend to mainstream climate action into this policy?
That were probably in one question the answer for all my 5 years, basically, so it will be difficult to cover in 2 minutes. But yes, impact assessment will be important. Maybe not in everything, because we should also take care that we do not do things like that where it's not necessary. But I mentioned already in the beginning, yes, climate proofing, for instance, of things that the Union pays for in the different funds. It's only logical that we take care that then when you get European funding, then you also spend the money according to the knowledge that we have climate-wise. It's silly to finance a road project which will be there for the next many decades if you do not climate-proof it from the very beginning, and then you spend taxpayers' money throughout Europe. That is the kind of stupid things that we should correct. And I also, as I said, for instance, I would like to make a transport and climate package with my colleague, the Transport Commissioner, and I think in different areas we could do things like that. The health check, CO2 cars review, you asked for specific examples. That could be one area, according to what I also said earlier on transport. Then you mentioned procurement. I think that we should be much better at using green public procurement. There are so many areas where the different public sectors in the Union could help pulling the market in the right direction, and we do not use these possibilities good enough. Forest strategy, it's a very, very important area. I would discuss this with my colleague, Mr. Potočnik. I think it was almost embarrassing that we did not manage to get a European position on forestry up to COP15. Just one example that here we are really...
To come back on the only question that you didn't answer, so it was very important that you managed to answer the rest. Fuel subsidies. Worldwide, we spend 300 billion on fuel subsidies, on fossil fuel subsidies, and this is totally unacceptable. And we don't have a policy for that, a real policy for that, because of our own fuel subsidies. And they are coming up into your mandate.
I don't think we should subsidize fuels. It was also part of the G8 declaration, and if I recall it correctly, back in L'Aquila this summer, that we should not subsidize, and now I'm talking also globally, we should not subsidize fuels. I know that's easier said than done when we are talking about a lot of developing countries, and it will take some time, but evidently if we are going to be less dependent on fossil fuels, then everybody ought to be able to see that it's not very wise politics to subsidize the same kind of fuels.
Ja, vielen Dank. Wir kommen jetzt